The Athene Real Talk Podcast explores controversial ideas to stimulate debate and active thinking. These ideas do not always reflect Athene's personal views. Welcome to the Athene Real Talk Podcast.
He has been called the best gamer in the world, hands down.
World-famous gamer and philanthropist Athene.
Gaming for Good, it's called, has raised more than $20 million.
Using his notoriety to raise money for charity.
On activism, science, culture, and self-development.
Proud to have him in the studio today. I would not want to take you on in a video game.
As we grow up, we literally grow up in a culture of excuses, where excuses are almost glorified, and even people are even entitled to their excuses, to the extent that when you point it out, you are politically incorrect, to put it that way. And yeah, as we grow older, at start when we're a kid, we don't know any better. We don't have the bad intentions. We just try to do what we can do, and we just learn. As children, we learn, we imitate. So if our environment tells us to do shit we don't understand or whatever, and we see that excuses work, we just apply them. And as we grow older and our brain starts becoming more advanced in our teenage years, we start understanding because we can project. And the moment we can project, we realize it's not you that is the one that is making mistakes, but it's people around you, like your family, your teachers and such. The friends around you are the ones that are not always right. But because you have been conditioned that way, you just walk into their footsteps. And I want to say something, because these expectations have quite a huge detrimental effect on your development. Because if you grow up and you've always had people around you telling you what to do, and you've always been demotivated to try out what you want to do, you really fall into this fear-anxiety framework where you're constantly pinged to other people and are constantly almost afraid of judgment. And that's what brings about social anxiety. Everybody in the chat that has social anxiety, the reason why you have social anxiety is because you feel expectations from other people. And it's because you've never really learned how to fall back on yourself. You've never really learned how to be responsible yourself. So the best thing you've come up with is just use the excuses, culture, and programs that have been indoctrinated and apply them, even if you know that what you're doing is not right. These excuses are ruining your life. Not just ruining your life, they're literally ruining the world as well, and are the cause of most human-caused suffering. That is why I told people, listen, everybody can apply and come over here and actually be in this environment, get stimulated by people that don't judge you, that don't have expectations, as long as you just, for yourself, do what you believe is right. So the only expectations that exist here are the ones that you put on yourself, because you try to avoid all the bullshit excuses. You understand that actions have consequences and you just act responsible. So you don't go make excuses like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do, like try to push your responsibility to other people, because that's what growing up is. And it's something that your parents obviously also want, but it's never really put in this framework, because the way you experience that is rather as an expectation and pressure. Being responsible sounds like an expectation, but being responsible is something you do towards yourself. And being able to understand how your actions have consequences and act accordingly is a very liberating experience. And that's what we stimulate here when people come over. You literally end up being responsible and just learning how to grow from within. So it's not us that tries to guide you. We do give guidance, but it's not us that tries to make you do what's right and be responsible. No, that's something you do yourself, because you're old enough to realize that. And it has been an extremely successful program. We've opened the doors to everyone, and a lot of people have been coming over, and that's why I'm streaming at this time, because I know that certain people are watching me at this time, not at other times, and this is really a big opportunity. It's almost like a free service we provide for people to really grow up, not because we're gonna hold your hand, but because we allow you to do so. We give you the room to grow. We give you the ability to grow. And since we know how excuses work, like we know when you make excuses, and if you make excuses, you just go back home. It's that simple. So it's quite a very effective framework. And people that have come over here, it's really hard to imagine that there is no expectations. It's really hard to imagine there is no judgment. And honestly, it's really crazy to see people open up. Because you see really people come over here that have quite some social anxiety, and then when they don't feel any judgment or they don't feel expectations, they really start opening up. They really start realizing, whoa, I have all this potential. And it's always being suppressed because you were afraid of judgment. But obviously it's about being responsible, and responsibility has to do with what is right, not what feels right. It's about facts, it's about reality, it's about science, it's about logic. Wute says, the reason I brought extremism up is because I think religious people are the ones who need logic the most. Lots of human rights are being violated in the world because of religion. Wute, you're full of shit. The problem in the world is not religion. The problem is being irresponsible. There is a lot of people that I know that are religious that are way more responsible than you are. It's very easy to demonize and put labels, right, to make yourself feel better. Well, that's a big excuse. It's nice to point fingers saying it's the extremism. No, it's you, bro. It's you that is a fucking hypocrite. And you know that. Does it make you feel better pointing fingers saying, oh, it's the extremists, it's this and that? Funnily enough, you are the only variable in your own equation of life. Do you understand that? Everything else is a constant. So as you go around and waste your time pointing fingers, better off working on yourself, because that's something you can do something about. Do you understand that? Oh, of course you understand that. You know this already. So don't make these bullshit excuses trying to make other people look bad while it is you that is part of the fucking problem. I don't give a shit whether someone is religious. I don't give a shit about their beliefs, their feelings, their opinions, their fucking ideas. It's all about reality. And everything else is irrelevant. And if your ideas don't bring about a positive impact, then they're just irrelevant. I know people that are religious that have a bigger heart than so many other people. Of course, you have also fucked up people that are irresponsible as fuck. But responsibility, bro. Not make excuses. Don't be biased. It's easy, to point fingers. Well, let me tell you something. You're fucking part of the problem. You want to do something about it? Apply, man. Work in an environment with like-minded people and do something. Organize yourself. Islamic invasion and cultural maxims are the most important problems. Get the fuck out, man. Your lack of responsibility is the biggest problem right now, because that is what is causing the cancer in fucking society. You're part of the problem. This pointing fingers and looking at excuses is exactly what... And you know it! So don't come at me and say like, hey, all that shit, like, yeah, these are the problems, these are the real problems. No, you are the problem. And this is for everyone. If you don't every single moment are responsible and try to do better and better and better and don't make bullshit excuses, you are the problem, man. Like, this is part of your bullshit mechanism of making excuses, and you know it. Maybe that works in your shitty environment where everybody's a fucking hypocrite and it allows yourself to conceal your hypocrisy. Not here. Not on this stream, man. On this stream, you put a mirror in front of you and you see your fucking face. Your true face. But what is an excuse? Where do you draw the line? An excuse is something you use knowingly, consciously or subconsciously as something to take away your sense of responsibility that you know about. And funnily enough is, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you talking about where do you draw the line is just for you a way to find an extra excuse. I know you know. I know you guys understand this excuse as responsibility more than anything I've talked about on the live stream. So what reality slaps me in the face? The Witcher, the reality where your parents don't take care of you anymore and you gotta be responsible for your own meals on the table. The reality of having a lack of purpose and meaning in life. And figuring that out when you're like, 30, 40 years old, depending on how your brain catches up on your silly, voidless life situation. The reality where humanity might destroy themselves because of the same ignorant, shitty view that you have. That kind of reality. The reality where people are dying for nothing while you could do something about that. The reality where you could be a lot more happy, a lot more fulfilled by being responsible. The reality where you can fall back on yourself, don't feel like social anxiety. The reality where you can trust reality and logic itself, being fulfilled, being clear-minded, the reality of being alive. Maybe that one could be rambling a little bit longer. That's the kind of reality. Reality where you can just look at yourself in the mirror sincerely and know you're not bullshitting yourself and telling yourself lies every day you wake up to just get along with the day. The reality where there's constantly noises in your head because you can't fucking think for 1 minute straight. Because you're constantly pinging to people or other people or trying to make fucking shit up to keep your bullshit lies alive. That kind of reality. The reality where you live in a fucking hell that you create yourself. The reality where you can make a difference. Where you can change the fucking world rather than just being busy with yourself. That kind of reality. You want me to keep going? Because I can go a little bit longer. The reality that you're watching this stream, wasting your fucking time, making bullshit excuses in the chat rather than doing something with your life. The reality where you're fucking a lonely fuck. Where you can't trust anyone because you can't trust yourself. Where you can't take the difference between a lie and someone being sincere because you're lying to yourself all day long. That kind of reality. So don't come at me and go like, oh yeah, what kind of reality you think? What kind of reality? Like the reality you put yourself in, man. The reality where you can make a difference, where you can bring change to your own life and the people around you, but you're not doing it because you're making bullshit excuses all day. El Capiro says, Athene, you're a person with many faces. How can we trust you if we don't know your true self? Mr. El Capiro, First of all, this is an excuse, what you're saying, because it's not because I have many faces that my heart changes. I have true intentions. If your father is yelling at you and then afterwards he's nice, would you say he has different faces? He just tries to have the best for you. And if it means being more angry because you don't understand the nice voice, then you would say like, yeah, my father is not to be trusted. It's about all the true intentions. And if you look at me, I'm not even telling you to trust me. Just look at my track record. You don't come here to work for me. You don't come here to meet the expectations of the group. You come here to grow up, to be responsible, and to find an environment that stimulates you in that. And growth comes naturally because you start believing in yourself. If you grow up and your environment is constantly pushing you down, and you're constantly getting this crazy judgmental behavior and feedback loop, you start really almost feel afraid to even try stuff. And of course you go and fall and lose yourself in distraction and mindless entertainment. But here it's the other way around. You come here, you get stimulated to really do what you believe is right. Of course you gotta ping it with reality. You can't ping it based on your bullshit conditioning in the past and go like, yeah, I want to be a rock band because I really like Metallica. No, you got to think, how do I have a real impact based on reality, based on facts? Computers were not built based on just emotions. It's built on understanding mechanics, and same with like understanding gravity. It's quite based on logic more so than anything. Doesn't mean like intuition can't help you. Intuition is not bad, but it has to be complemented with reason, or you can really go deep down the rabbit hole. Archicus says, so if I would join this house, what would I do? Do I work on my own stuff or what? I'm confused and interested. Archicus, when you come over here, you work on what you believe is right. And it's about being responsible. And being responsible means being responsible about the consequences of your actions. And that's defined by reality, not by your feelings. So you go about it in the most structured, unbiased way. You see what you can do to have a positive impact in the world and to be responsible towards yourself and towards the world. That's it. So nobody is judging you. Nobody has expectations except the ones you impose on yourself. And everybody understands what responsibility is. Of course, if you're always used to do what other people tell you and make excuses and all that shit to shield off your responsibilities, then it is getting used to this. You come over here, you'll get used to it. But man, it goes quite quick. Filzer, I've worked 6 days this week. I find the stream inspirational in my downtown. You shouldn't need any inspiration. If you're here and you're working and being productive, then you are your own inspiration. You don't need me as an inspiration. If you need me as an inspiration, then you're giving even another argument why you should be here. I'm just saying, like, it's very important to not bullshit yourself, because it's very easy to bullshit yourself. You know what you can do. You know what you have to do. Just do it. I have very little understanding because, we live in a world where the world really needs you. Every single one of you. It's not like when you come over here, you replace someone else's job. No. You're actually addition. Every person is unique. Every person is special. The world needs it. And we can't have enough. The world can't have enough people that are fully responsible and going about it logically and as impactful as possible. As Slicho says, so at your place, what are responsibilities? I get to set them myself, so I judge myself if there are excuses or someone sets them for me. If second variant, I think it makes sense, but first variant, no. You are the one that judges it based on your own understanding. Nobody comes tells you what are excuses and what are not excuses. Excuses is something that you use towards yourself. So when you're here, you use your true intentions. And then you can't do anything bad. If you do things with the best intentions, nobody is going to judge you. Nobody is going to point fingers. And that's the problem. If you grow up as a child, you only have good intentions and still you get punished all the time. As a result, you start adopting a certain framework that allows you to cope with all the frustration you have experienced because of it. And you start adopting an entire framework based on culture of excuses and start adopting that as you grow older. You start stopping having faith even in your true intentions and give up on it. You start adopting a framework that is a lot more dysfunctional because you don't know any better as a child. You think it's the only thing there is, but that is not the case. When you're here, you're being stimulated to just have these true intentions. Your inner child feels safe again and can grow. You really become truly independent, truly responsible, and you can really fall back on yourself. Not anymore the intersubjectivity. You don't care what other people think about you because you can build that trust. But of course, in order to do so, you need an environment that stimulates you, which is here, the perfect one. what caused you to create this environment? If you're your own boss, then why can't you just choose to procrastinate? I'm trying to understand the scope of your ideology. You can't choose to procrastinate because you're not being responsible then. Because people know themselves what it is to be responsible. You know when you procrastinate, you're making bullshit up. You know when you procrastinate, it's because of excuses you make. So if you're being responsible and you are the one that has to justify it to yourself, when you are just sitting on your ass, the dissonance is too big. Right now, when you sit on your ass, you use so many excuses, and they also work within the intersubjectivity. They seem to get the right feedback. Here, it's not the case. You really have constantly an environment where people are responsible, and when you're doing jack shit, it just burns so much because you know you're being full of shit, and you'd rather leave than stay. So in this environment, you just keep doing what you believe is right. And it's more fulfilling as well, because once you take action and you're in a flow, it starts growing on you. Of course, at the start, it's a little bit dissonance, but if you truck through it, it's quite quickly. In a few weeks, you're already a different person. Emperor says, I told my parents about this today and I can't seem to prove to them that this is safe. They are worried, although I know myself that this is not religious bullshit. Emperor, I always say this and I say it again. Your parents want the best for you. Do you understand that? They care about you more than anyone else on the planet. So obviously they will try to do anything to keep you safe. At the same time, the way they go about it is through their own experience, through their own intuition, through their own way of looking at the world. And honestly, this place sounds like scary as fuck. If I'd be your parents, I'd be scared myself. It's like, this place offering you free food, free shelter, and it's just mainly focused on trying to change the world? That sounds like a lot of bullshit, because in my entire life, I've never experienced such a thing. And if something even was close to what you're saying, they were always a sham. So you gotta understand, they get it. You gotta understand, they get to see, the way they've grown up. So now you can say like, okay, that's really interesting. So how do I prove it to them? You don't have to prove anything to them. You have to speak their language. You gotta explain it, not by showing that this place is heaven, fuck that shit. You gotta approach it from your own reference frame. And what I mean with that is, if you explain them like, yeah, I'm going over there, not because this place is I'm gonna change the world with this place or whatever. No, you say you go there to learn yourself, to gain experience, to become responsible. If you frame it in a way that you don't come here selflessly giving yourself to change the world, but rather because you think it's going to contribute to your life and your ability to make the right connections and learn a lot and become responsible, and it's just something you check out, which is also true. You're checking it out. Maybe it won't work out. You learn a lot. So it's not like even you're lying, but it's a lot more digestible and sounds a lot less scary.
Subscribe to youtube.com/AtheneWins. Watch the live stream at twitch.tv/AtheneLive and follow The Real Athene on Snapchat.